Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is JJ, and in today's video, I am going to be giving you 10 home buying tips for this year. Now, guys, these are 10 tips that I have put together and made a list of that if I was going back to the first time home buyer JJ, these are 10 tips that I wish I would have known about because it really will help your process in buying your first home, your second home, or hell, even your 10th home. Now, to tell you quickly a little bit about myself, I have been through the home buying process a few times. I've purchased two primary homes, I've purchased a real estate investment, and I've also been through the process of buying many different real estate investments that have not currently gone through due to having to back out to certain reasons or whatever it may be that we will talk about in today's video. But let's jump right into this. Let's get into the first tip. The first tip is to get pre-qualified. Now, this is almost a must now whenever you are looking and shopping around trying to find your home, because what this does is this shows the seller that you are ready to go and have financing in place. That means there's going to be zero hiccups if the seller does choose to take your offer. And once you're going through the process, they already know that you are set up and have financing available, ready to go, and have gone through the pre-qualified process. Now, for the second tip is to call a crap ton of mortgage lenders before you get pre-qualified. Now, what I mean by this is to shop around. Shop for rates, shop for closing costs, and see what is going to be the cheapest, best option out there for you. So, what I do when I have done this is I have called at least 5 different mortgage lenders. You can go above and beyond and call more than that. I've done that in the past, but I feel like if you call 5 different lenders, that's going to give you a good idea of what your interest rates will look like and also what the closing costs will look like from those different lenders. Do not be afraid to ask them this. Also, one quick note here is you actually don't have to give them your social security number if you know roughly what your credit score is. If you have an idea of what your credit score is, you can just give them that credit score number. They can plug that into their calculator and then they can give you a rough estimate of what an interest rate would be. But bonus fact here, you can actually give them your social if you want to, because whenever you are shopping for mortgage rates, there is a time period that the FICO score allows you to be able to have your credit pulled multiple different times if it's all for that same loan, and it's not going to hurt your credit score any worse if you keep doing that within that slotted time frame, which I believe is around 14 days or so. Go check me on that, but that is the best. And then once you find those 3 cheapest mortgage lenders, then you can start to negotiate a little bit. I've actually lowered my interest rate or also have lowered my closing cost, telling this one lender like, hey, I connected with him a little better and I said, I got this guy over here that's offering me this. If you can match this or do a little better, I'll come over and we will go through you. And luckily it happened. So don't be afraid to negotiate with this stuff. So the third tip is your down payment. Now, guys, this is a very, very important one to think about. You want to try and have at least 20% down if this is going to be your personal home. Now, I say personal home because whenever it's buying an investment property, it's a little bit of a different story. But for today's video, we are talking just about your personal home. The reason I say 20% is such an important number is because what you don't have to pay when you can bring 20% to the table. Guys, PMI is known as private mortgage insurance. If you cannot meet that 20% down payment, you will have to pay PMI. And PMI is literally like driving down the highway and just tossing $100 bills out the window. It really goes towards nothing. It's just a backing to the bank, knowing that since you can't come up with the cash, they have this insurance set there for you. So what I like to say is to try to save up to get to that 20% down payment for a couple reasons. One, like I just mentioned, you won't have to pay PMI, so that's more money you can have to your freedom every single month to pay extra on the mortgage, to put towards investments, or just to have a nice little extra spending money. But also, bringing 20% or more to the table as a down payment is going to give you the best interest rate possible that you can get. Now, a quick bonus to tip number 3 with the down payment is the types of loans. I personally believe that a conventional loan is the best loan out there for you. Bring in that 20% down payment. It's going to give you the lowest fees and lowest interest rate as well, bringing that 20% down payment to the table. Now, moving on to tip number 4 is to have more cash than just your down payment. Now, we just talked about saving up for 20%. Don't think that once you hit that 20% number, you are automatically good to go. I'm set. Let's go buy this house, baby. No, that's not how it works. See, when you buy this home and move into it, there's going to be a lot other expenses even before you move into the home. Because not only that, you're going to have the closing costs. So you have to think about that as well on top of your 20% down payment. But once you move into the home, well, now you've got to most likely have a yard. So you got to buy a mower to cut the grass, or you got to hire somebody to cut the grass for you until you buy a mower. You got to buy furniture to fill the house. And let to be known, most people don't expect this, but sometimes as soon as you move into your house, you're already having to fix things. Issues are going to be popping up. Maybe it's hot during the summertime. You move in, you turn on the AC, and the AC doesn't work. Well, there's another 5-6 grand. You got to replace an AC unit. There's little things like that to where if you are not prepared for them, that's when it's going to happen. So be prepared moving into this new home, understanding you're going to need some extra cash to be able to make those purchases when you're buying this first home. It's not just having the down payment and that's it. There's so much more to it. Now, tip number 5 is to find a good agent, especially if you are a first-time home buyer and this is your first time going through this process. Find a good agent that's going to be on your side and help guide you through the process. A couple ways you can do this is just talk to family and friends in your area and figure out who was a good agent that was a teacher as well and was teaching them the process on what to look for and what not to look for whenever you're going through your home buying process. Another thing you can do is actually hop on biggerpockets.com. BiggerPockets is more focused towards real estate investors, but you could still hop on there as a home buyer, read through some of the forums in your area, and try to find a good real estate agent to connect with. You can also sometimes find good reviews on Zillow on different agents and just reach out to one in your area on there as well who has great reviews. So the 6th tip on today's video is decide what you can afford and buy less. Guys, this probably is one of the most important ways and important tips I have on today's video is buy less that you can afford. Yes, you may be able to afford a $400,000 home, but let me tell you this. What if you buy a $200,000 home and now you have all of this extra cash that was going to go towards that more higher of a mortgage to do whatever you want with? That can put towards investments, more money you can have fun to go on other vacations, whatever it may be. Trust me, I understand buying a big new home is so exciting and the more you pay, the nicer you get. I get that. But my wife and I actually purchased way lower than we can afford, and we were able to actually pay off this mortgage in 2 years because we bought such a cheaper home. And now we are able to, travel to Hawaii for 5 weeks. We get to travel whenever we want to. We don't have to worry about many bills because we've paid off our mortgage and we've paid off all of our other debts besides the rental property. So it gives us that freedom to do what we want. That's probably the biggest thing I can tell you here is to buy a home less than you can afford. And trust me, you will thank me later, because the biggest thing with this is that newness will wear off. And what comes with a bigger house? Larger expenses, more expensive utility bills, a bigger house to take care of, a bigger house to clean. With a smaller, more affordable home, all of that stuff goes down. You don't have to worry about, as much more expensive maintenance. You don't have to worry about as big of a house to clean, take care of, everything. It's just everything works perfectly when you buy a home less than you can afford. And if something happens to your jobs, there's just so many things I can come up with on this tip. So please remember that one watching today's video. So the 7th tip comes with those monthly costs is to check what your insurance and taxes will be each month and year. And the reason I say this is because when you go to buy that home, that you think you can afford, and you're looking at what the principal and interest payment's going to be, well, that's not the only payment you're going to have on a monthly basis. So let's say you've done your calculation, you've talked to your mortgage lender, and you've come up that your principal and interest rate, your mortgage payment will be roughly around $1,500 to $2,000, whatever it may be. Let's go with $1,500 to make it easy. But what you can't forget about is the taxes and insurance you're going to have to pay on that as well. If you're paying them through escrow, which means you're paying them on a monthly basis, that could be another few $100s every single month that you're not keeping up with or having an idea. And in some places in the country, it could be upwards to 1,000 extra bucks or more a month that you need to be aware of before getting into this home. I've heard of people before getting into a home expecting only having to pay or looking at that closing statement of the principal and interest, not understanding that they have to pay the taxes and insurance as well, and they get their first payment in, and it's a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 more than what they're expecting. So be sure to check what your insurance and taxes will be each month. Your insurance provider can provide you a quote on the house you're looking at that you have an offer on, but also you can look at the taxes by just looking at your calling up your county courthouse, or now most of the time Zillow has that placed on there as well. Number eight, the number 8 tip on today's video is to get a seller's disclosure statement before even going to look at a house. Guys, I cannot tell you how many times this has saved me by just looking at the seller's disclosure statement, and that has been able to kind of maybe change my mind on even going to want to look at a property, because what this will tell you is this can tell you if how old the AC unit is, how old the water heater is, when's the last time the roof has been replaced. Whenever you see the age of these items, you get to look at these more expensive parts of the house. That's going to give you an idea if you even want to go forward looking at the house. And given the current market we're in right now, it's not something where you can just go look at the house and say, oh, well, I'll just offer less because of all these older appliances. No, that's not how it's going to work. You're going against 20 other people who are just going to blindly not even pay attention to that, or they just need a house to live into and they're going to offer way more regardless of how old the roof, AC unit, and all that other stuff is. So be sure to check that before even going to look at a house, because those are major, major expense items whenever you're owning a home. So number 9 is please get inspections on your house, guys. And for the type of inspections that I have used in the past, I get your typical regular inspection, I get a sewer inspection, and I get a termite inspection as well. Both of these have come in handy, and it saved me a bunch of money in getting out of deals that I have almost went through. My most recent rental property that I was under contract for, I backed out because with my sewer inspection, I found an issue that was going to cost upwards of $25,000-$30,000. And for the deal and cash flow, it just didn't work out. And as a personal home buyer, you may be okay taking on that extra expense, but I'm going to guess most of us out there don't have the extra $25,000-$30,000 laying around on top of having that 20% down payment we just saved up, for a long period of time. So please get your regular, your sewer, and your termite inspection as well. And guys, for the 10th and final tip is to pay down as much debt as possible before purchasing a home. What this will do for you is lower your debt to income ratio. It's also going to set you up on a more conservative, safer basis when moving into a home, knowing that you were able to pay off some, if not all, of the debts that you have outside of a mortgage. So guys, those are the 10 tips for today's video on purchasing a home. I hope you guys got some value from this. I hope this helps you in that home buying process, because trust me, I know it is a daunting task, especially if this is your first time on the block. So please rewatch this if you have to. Take notes, understand all of these tips that have helped me in the past and that I use moving forward every time I'm buying another property, because understanding these items will make that home buying process that much smoother for you. Now, guys, thanks again so much for watching. Again, if you did find value, if you could just please hit that like button for me, that does help out the video and the channel. And until the next video, you all take care.